Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of
Ghetto.
My name is Hans
I'm Edward.
and we are your hosts for now and forevermore.
Or until one of us digs a hole, gets to China, and becomes a huge conglomerate.
But now. You remember we've done this whole digging down into the earth and you don't always end up in China,
No,
Edward.
that's true.
So if I had known that was going to be your intro, I would have told our lovely listeners where to go and look in our first season. Unfortunately, my memory, as good as it is not photographic.
Was it the first season or was it the last?
I think it was the first season. It wasn't this year. Not that I can recall anyway.
Go back anyway and go.
Either
it
way,
was a good episode.
If you are new to Ghetto, welcome to one of the internet's best repositories for gaming, entertainment, technology, and lifestyle, news, reviews, previews, and information, all wrapped up in a wonderful, geeky...
Woolworths Packet.
Why Woolworths? But okay.
Because we just bought from Woolworths and I couldn't think of anything else.
Gosh, Edward, honestly, maybe we should reverse roles and I should be the one to make up these things.
maybe.
If you're one of our regular listeners, welcome back, Ghetto folk, which I suppose is just what I'm going with now. Edward, how you doing?
Good. I'm actually quite good. How about you?
Me, who knows the truth.
Yeah. Look, well, this is all a facade anyway. Our viewers know as much.
Yes,
but we're
Edward.
all adults here.
I'm also good.
Get out.
Our Ghetto folk, welcome to Ghetto 64, Season 2, Episode 22. We have a lovely jam-packed episode for y'all. At least we think it might be, with some delicious NSFW towards the end, some reviews, couple of interesting information because there are no previews. Either way, as always, we're going to launch straight into our question of the week, which is not going to have a jingle, which Edward and I have decided. I know, sorry to disappoint some of you. We just feel that we already have an intro music, outro music, and a jingle for NSFW that putting in more might just be a little kitsch.
Not that. It kind of messes with our whole we're not editing anymore mantra.
Well, that too. So, I mean, I don't mind doing it, but I feel sometimes the way we do the question and the way we almost go straight into the content, it would be a bit of a weird to have a break in between, you know, in the way that we do NSFW, where we have like a jingle in the beginning, a jingle at the end. So if we had to do a jingle in the beginning and a jingle at the end of the question, it might just throw us off a little bit because we'd have to give an unnatural pause, I suppose. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, look at us digressing.
Yeah. Let's
even
not
more.
digress.
As per always. If you're new to Ghetto, this is what we always do. If you're familiar with Ghetto, we know you love us.
Yeah.
Right, Edward. Would you like to do the honors this week? Tell us the question.
I will. Okay, so the question is, if you could send anything, if you could send anything into deep space, knowing it's of human importance, and also that you might never see the results of it being found, what would it be?
Now, our wonderful Ghetto folk, think about this for a second. Just think about this. Whatever your gut reaction is, DM us. Let us know. Or write or comment below the YouTube videos or whatever it is y'all like to do. Because we often get DMs because some of you don't like to do the whole public thing. Either way, think about that. What item would you love to thrust into the deepest ranges of space, knowing that it could be of human importance? You know, obviously, because just in case there's other intelligent life out there, which the most likely is, right? And of course, you know, knowing the fact that you might not live to see the results of that communication. So when Edward first proposed this question, I was like, it's been done. You know, humanity's already done this.
Obviously, we sent out that disc, I think it was.
Yes, that's right. But then when you were like, what personal thing would it be? And I was like, whoa. And then I thought about it a little bit. Now, bear in mind, when I say thought about it, we literally only see these questions on the day of recording, like half
Basically.
an hour before we even do this. So
Yeah.
not like we've had time to prepare. And sometimes we even hide the questions from each other, so we don't even see them. So I just thought to myself, and I suppose maybe this might be ever so slightly narcissistic, I suppose, but I would send a tubule of my seed so that when the aliens discover it, with, of course, pictures and videos of me going, "Hi, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube," then at least they would know what they're working with. And then, who knows, maybe a legion of hunters would invade Earth at a later stage.
See, it's funny you say that because that's exactly what I thought as well.
Don't lie. Are you serious?
I swear.
Edwin, this is obviously why we're not only good friends, but why we host Gettle together. Because more often than not, we're on the same wavelength. But for real, would you really do the same thing? Oh, shit.
The thing is, I'm just imagining now in my head some alien catching this thing and thinking it's hair gel or something.
Okay,
but-
how dare you assume they have hair? How dare you?
Hey, hair, no hair, I don't care.
I love that rhymed.
Maybe it's
Anyway.
some lotion. But that's exactly what I thought as well.
Okay,
it's
why?
of mine.
Okay, so yeah. So why for you the seed? So I've given you the whole thing of because that's what I would do.
Because you want
and
to
I
be
guess,
cloned.
Yes, I would love a twin.
Because to me, it's more along the lines of showing the aliens the entire process. So like we find frog tadpoles and we see the process of them growing up.
You know what I just realized?
What?
I realized that we would only be, oh my word, how could we both be so if we only send our seed, that's only a half of the equation. And then that's us assuming the aliens breed in a similar way to us.
No,
They
no,
might
no.
not have eggs that,
See, but that's why I'm not thinking breeding with aliens.
Are you thinking just
showing
genetic code,
the aliens
right?
how we evolve, how we go
Yes,
from
but you're
sperm.
still only giving half of the equation.
Well, I can't really pull an ovary off of Marianne or something,
Okay, let's say more so it would be because we want to give them our genetic material, right? Because ideally,
Yes.
I'd like to think, regardless of how aliens can reproduce, they would be able to look at the genetic material and extract some decent humanness from it, right?
Yeah.
Or
if they
something
don't
like
think
that.
It's just some weird ass space debris,
Oh, this is also assuming that there's going to be intelligent life out there, or maybe it'll come full circle and it'll come back to humanity's way somewhere, and then they'd have like ancient, primitive DNA. Assuming we're like
Maybe.
the year 4000 and we've developed time travel or something ridiculous.
Well, actually, if we just thrust it into space with like a standard space rocket or whatever, and we do evolve into developing space travel or whatever, and we do find aliens one day, chances are that little capsule of our seed will only be found way after we have evolved past that already.
Well,
because that's going to propel at normal rocket speed while we have faster than light travel or whatever, So,
well, either way, it was a good question, Ed. It's a good question. And, with space on the mind and aliens and things like that, I see also that you've mentioned that the all-powerful Cthulhu, is going into space. Tell me more about that.
Well, not really, but I like the headline, so I stuck with that.
We all know that Cthulhu comes from space. So what am I even saying? Why would we...
Well, we don't know that. They are the deep sea alien, not the space alien.
It could be interdimensional, right?
Yep, that's also a big theory. Anyway, yeah. Yes, so I found this amazing little post saying that a bunch of squids, and when I say a bunch, I mean like hundreds of squids, are being sent up to the internet International Space Station for studies. Now it's done by SpaceX
Listen,
because
Listen,
NASA.
y'all. This is how
Yeah,
Cthulhu gets made. Okay, just saying. It's gonna
that's
go.
exactly my
It's
thoughts as well.
gonna go up there. It's gonna get exposed to
To
the
some space
radiation,
rock.
and then it's gonna come back and be like, "I am your overlord." You know.
This is how the
Thanks,
numbers
SpaceX.
happened. Basically, yeah. So basically, NASA, obviously the International Space Station is a NASA initiative, but they're using SpaceX and other private companies to bring them stuff because their own rockets have been retired. I don't know why.
Well, I
I
mean,
think it's because they
also
don't have any
because
funding.
the SpaceX stuff is reusable. So, I mean, it just makes the most sense.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, Elon Musk is gonna give us all Kraken
He's
overlords, I guess.
coining it. That's what Elon Musk is doing. And creating
So
Cthulhu in the process.
Cthulhu, exactly. So I learned that they are sending about 128 Hawaiian bobtail squids up into space for studies. Now,
Mhm.
these studies are actually quite intriguing. So it's obviously the longer you spend in space, the longer time you are in space, your bones essentially become goop because your muscle and your bones, they don't have any
It's because of the
exercise.
lack of gravity. You know, we
Yes.
don't realize it, but even simple movements are consistently exerting force onto
Yep.
our skeletons and allowing our muscles to remain functional.
hmm That's why even if you don't eat anything, you're still a functioning body. You're still
Mm.
a skeleton that works. So in space, this is not the case because there is no gravity pushing down on you and making you do these seemingly meaningless,
Trivial, yeah.
exercises. So turns out that the same symbiosis between our microbes and microgravity is found in these squids.
Okay. That's
Yeah. So because
interesting.
they are because they are these simple life forms, they decided to, hey, let's send a bunch of them up in space and study those and figure out how we can negate the effects of spatial degradation, I guess. That is not the term used. I don't know what the term is, but basically becoming goop. How we can negate that, which
I
is
also
amazing.
saw that they sent up tardigrades. Those really cool
Yes,
little
that
what
little.
are they? They're like small little, not bacteria, but they're like
No,
tiny
it's a
tiny little
worm kind
microscopic
of thing.
creatures. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but those things in Death Stranding you eat for blood. That's tardigrade. I. It's not said why they're sending 20,000 of those up there, but
Listen,
they are.
listen. This is just, I feel like we're asking for problems.
It sounds like that. It really does. Um, all of these were sent with uh, four new crew members. So sorry, no. This was the 22nd run SpaceX has done for NASA,
Wow,
and
that's
the
incredible.
last one sent up 4 new crew members on a 6-month mission. Now, it must be mentioned that these guys, they're never up there for long. I think the longest guy in space was for 2 years or something, and he came down and immediately retired
Yeah, but that's
because
because
it's
of how taxing it is on the human body.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I don't know what these 4 guys are
You know,
doing with
I think
tardigrades and
I think
avocado.
avocados are in space.
Yes,
Okay, now
yes.
you see, if an avocado mutated, I'm down with that. But not so much tardigrades and squids now, because we don't need these kraken-like animals to be modified in space on a genetic molecular level, coming back down to
Hmm.
Earth and then becoming the superior species.
I'm
Which
seeing some tardigrade squid mutation.
kaiju coming out of the
Kaiju.
oceans. All right.
that's
So
that's how kaiju happen.
this reminds me a lot of a movie that I just watched recently. It's a brand new release. It's called The Tomorrow War, and
Oh
it
yeah.
stars Chris Pratt. You know Chris Pratt, one of the many Chris's from the Marvel universe, but also somebody who was absolutely hilarious in Parks and Recreation. Absolutely phenomenal TV series. Anyway,
But
so yeah.
Is this the movie where the poster looks like he's Tom Cruise?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
not so
I haven't seen that
Edge
one yet.
of Tomorrow, The Tomorrow War.
Okay, cool.
No,
No, I just need to make sure.
no,
because-
you're absolutely spot on. There was a big thing online where people were like, "That's not Tom Cruise," and it's because not only does the film sound like the previous film, but even the poster looks similar. But of course, did we expect anything less from Hollywood? Which always likes to
I guess not.
recycle ideas. I will say, however, that The Edge of Tomorrow is a far superior movie to
Okay.
The Tomorrow War, which we're speaking about now. So this movie is, for all intents and purposes, and it really seems to be following a trend. It is a distinctly average action movie. If you are going to think, if you analyze the plot too much, you're going to hate it. But if you just watch it for what it is, it's a somewhat enjoyable action romp. Okay. With some really cool timey-wimey bits added for good measure. So essentially what the Tomorrow War is about is these soldiers from Earth's future, I think it's only about 30 years in the future, they use time travel to come back to the present, and they're telling everybody that aliens are running amok and they are actually losing the war in the future. So their aim is to take people from the past to try to win the war in the future. I will admit that the premise itself is actually excellent. I love time manipulation. Like Quantum Break is one of my favorite games because the story was just absolutely incredible. And when it comes to time in movies and TV series, I really do enjoy it a lot. So now, with that said, the Tomorrow War, it skirts the fringes of being accurate from a time-based perspective, but also being completely ludicrous because of the plot holes that are left wide open for you to be like, through the whole thing. So I'm going to try and explain the movie, and I mean, I hope you don't mind, even if there are spoilers, it's not a huge deal, Ed, yeah?
So one of the premise of this movie is taking people from the past and bringing them to the future. Am I correct?
Yes. To fight the aliens in the future.
But how will the future people exist if no one in the past is alive?
Okay, hold on. I will get to that. Let me get to that. Let me first tell you what let me try and get what the movie is about, and then we can talk about the inconsistencies or how they managed to deal with a lot of the things that you've just proposed, which is a great question, by the way. So, as I mentioned before, it's all about time travel. It's all about people from the future. They're coming back to the past to take people from the past back to the future to fight a war because the human race is losing against these alien creatures, which look absolutely horrific, by the way. They're kind of like if the xenomorph aliens, managed to impregnate a spider. This is kind of what you get. And they're called...
That sounds horrific.
What are they called? They're called white tusks, I think. Or white something. And it's because they shoot these like giant like spears. They shoot giant white spears from their like mandibles. It's just they really are horrific looking things. Now
that sounds bad.
The movie, it has a lot of typical tropes from sci-fi and action and time. So in that sense, eventually like you discover that there's a female and the male aliens are like severely protective of the female. But they never really explore that enough because they never really let you know if there's only one female or if there are multiple females, or do you know what I mean? It's very like airy-fairy in that sense. But you'd have to assume, yes, there's like one female, even though they allude to many more. And they need the female for research because she holds the key to destroying them all, basically. Now, this is all happening in the future, all right?
Okay.
And it just so happens, of course, naturally, that Chris Pratt's character in the past has previously done... he has previous army experience, so naturally making him perfect for going into the future. Now, but with that said, though, the movie does a lot of things very well as well, in the sense of when this whole thing happens and the past now knows about the future, they make conscription mandatory for anybody over the age of 16. So it no longer is like this whole, if you want to fight, it's like you have to fight because the entire human race is at stake, And it's very interesting. And the way that it works is that they only do jumps with for 7 days. So anybody who goes into the future only goes for 7 days, and then they automatically return to the past. And to answer your question, Edward, or at least one of the things I think you have floating around, is they manage the jumps by ensuring that you are either already dead or going to die before your jump. Meaning, let's say you jump in August 2033, you would have died July 2023. Meaning that your past self can never run into your future self. Therefore, that you're avoiding the time paradox.
But that means you just die quicker.
No, but just hold it. And then in the same sense, the people who jump back to the past have never been born yet, so they can't meet themselves. It's a very, I will admit they did a very good job of sort of explaining away, the time inconsistencies, the time loops and the errors and things like that, which I personally really appreciated. It's not perfect. There's still a few things like, again, it depends on your philosophy of time. And Quantum Break explored this so beautifully. And it was all about, how do you think of time? Do you think of it as like consistent? In other words, for you to go into the future means you would have, like, for you to go to the future and come back means you have to have done it. And therefore, nothing you do can actually change what's going to happen because it's already happened.
Yeah.
You see? So I'm not really sure where the movie stands on that stance, because, ideally they solve the problem. All right. I'm not going to tell you how. I'm not going to tell you the way that they do it. But ideally, they do solve the issue. And then, but they don't really explain, like, what about all the people that went to the past and came back to the future? Did it have to happen? Did it just negate everything else? Do the people who are now in the past disappear because the future now no longer happens? There's a lot of interesting questions to that. Anyway, it's a decent action film. It can be somewhat predictable. There's some of these moments, which are like obvious because, he has a daughter in the past, and when he goes into the future, guess who's running the rebellion?
The daughter, yeah.
The daughter. So there's like basic things like that. But overall, it's. I thought it was quite decent. The two main stars are Chris Pratt and Yvonne Strahovski, and there are a few other notable faces, which anybody who's watched comedy series in the past will absolutely see, because they give the comic relief to the film, which it has a lot of. I did also feel it was a little bit too long. It was just over 2 hours, I think, which is very long for this kind of a just generic action romp.
Mindless action, yeah.
With that said, it is better than Kong versus Godzilla. So there is that. Not that that's a very high bar to.
No, I was about to say that doesn't tell me much.
No, it's decent. It's on Amazon Prime if anybody's keen to check it out. One thing that I would like to mention is that generally stars look good, and Chris Pratt, he looks good. Like, he's still got his abs in this film. And I was quite impressed by that. I was like, you go, guy. Now, with abs on the mind, Edward.
Yeah.
I have something I think you would be interested to know more about.
Okay. Some
and
fat
it's
geneticists or something.
Fat. Yes.
Okay.
It's about fat. Okay. So, for the longest time, people have wondered, is there that magic pill that you can take, or magic diet, or whatever the case is? But only, of course, those people like myself who suffer from being overweight. So, it's your face. Anyway.
I'm not going to say anything.
Anyway. So, naturally, the easiest way to do it, and the more natural way of doing it, is really just being in a calorie deficit. So if your body needs 2,500 calories a day to function, you could drop that to 2,300, and then that's a very good small calorie deficit, which over time will see you, lose the unnecessary kilograms.
Yeah.
But of course, who wants to work out? Who wants to make life difficult? Like, we want easy. We want CRISPR pill. Okay, that you just take and boom, you never be fat again in your life. Now, this is where the most, I wouldn't say incredible research, but where some very interesting research is currently happening at the moment. And it's specifically to do with obesity and fatness, if that's a word. All right?
Okay.
And The takeaway from this brand new research is that scientists think they have identified the gene for weight loss. Like, this is legit now. This is not like one of those, what's it, Cambodia, what's it, I don't know. You know, what are
those
that,
pills that advertise off the cinema line.
Yes, yeah, there we go. Thank you. You know what I'm talking about. It's not like that kind of a thing, you know, where you take it, you end up having diarrhea for 4 days. So yes, of course you're going to lose weight because you're now dehydrated.
Yeah. But that's unhealthy.
Naturally. So this study is one of the most comprehensive and largest studies of obesity to date, which is really very interesting. I mean, I didn't even know that they would. I mean, I kind of assumed they were doing some research into obesity, I suppose, because, you know, it is, widely spread around the world, but that's because of fast food. Anyway, we're not going to go into that kind of a thing. Just that scientists are studying obesity and how they can curb it and how they can help people who might have it. Now, within this very interesting article, I actually also discovered that it turns out that there's actually a gene which causes obesity. So, and that one is called, did I write it down here? Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Apparently, they did find one which is linked to appetite regulation, and it's called the MC4R gene. And if that gene is broken, you're more inclined to be genetically obese than people who have a correctly functioning gene in that regard. Now, throughout this study and through thousands and thousands of people and genetic variations on body weight, they discovered that and get this, over 650,000 people participated in the study from America, Mexico, and the United Kingdom. All right. And when they took these people and they looked at them all, and they did a process called examining the exome. So that's the part of the genome that codes for proteins, right? They then looked for mutations within the genes, and, you know, whether there was a correlation between having a high BMI or a low BMI. Now, of course, the study also admits that BMI is not a great way of calculating whether somebody is overweight or not, but they just use it as the standard point for whether or not a gene could be responsible for weight gain or weight loss.
Yeah.
And in so doing, one of these, they're called G protein coupled receptors, right? And apparently 16 of these genes are tied to a person's BMI. And of these, they actually found that one of the variants, specifically GPR75, and this sounds a lot like that cookie thing you see on websites nowadays, but it's not. It had the largest effect on a person's BMI. In this sense, and this is the most remarkable thing. People who had the gene, but it was non-functioning, so in other words, it was broken, all right, weighed on average almost 5.5 kilograms less than people who had that functioning gene. That is a big difference.
That's a lot of kilograms for a gene.
Now, of course, I would like to assume that they did look at heights of people, and so, because I mean, obviously, somebody like me who's 6'5", and you who's like 5'10" or whatever, we're obviously going to weigh differently in terms of like our BMIs will also be different.
Yes.
Anyway, I have to assume that they did take all of this stuff into account, and, you know, with that in mind, you know, a 5 kilogram difference is massive. So what they then did is that they looked at this gene and they thought to themselves, okay, let's go and genetically engineer some mice, because, you know, such is science and why we have COVID today. Anyway, that's another story for another day. You know, put on your tinfoil hats there for a second. Anyway, so what they did is that they took a whole lot of mice. They edited their genes so that this particular GPR75 no longer worked in them. And lo and behold, they found that the test group with the modified gene weighed 44% less than the control group, which had the functioning gene. So
that's amazing.
There we go. It looks like they've established the gene. And do you want to know what's most interesting about this, Ed?
What?
This gene is only present, in other words, this malfunctioning gene is only present within 1 in every 3,000 people. So, you know, those naturally skinny people who eat as much as they want and they don't pick up any weight, and I'm looking at you, bitch. Okay, because I see you,
Yeah.
Edward.
I just have
you
fast
might be one of those
metabolism.
people. Fast metabolism. You know what? Your GPR75 doesn't work. Okay, good for you.
So what you're saying is soon we'll have injections that kill the GPR75 and then
Well, not necessarily kill it. So in episode 63, so last week, season 221, we actually discussed the, CRISPR and how
yeah,
they're using that now,
to
or
modify.
rather they found a method for allowing people to, drink it or intravenously or whatever the case is. And then they have the gene editing CRISPR tech, whatever, into their body, and it goes and does whatever it needs to do. So I
Yeah.
do think that quite possibly in the near future, we could have a CRISPR pill that you pop, and it makes the GPR75 gene no longer function. And because
Hey,
it
as
doesn't
long-
function, you can then eat whatever you want and be skinny. Well, not skinny. You be healthy.
as long as
trim
it doesn't
and
kill
fit.
people. Okay.
Well, you see, this is the thing. Remember, this is only early stages. So we don't know. I mean, okay, not that we don't know, but I mean, we know that some people have it, right? 1 in 3,000 people have it naturally occurring, that the GPR75 gene doesn't really work as well as it should. Now, what if you take that and you make it not work in people where it was working? Are there other adverse effects? Like how does that affect the rest of your genealogy? It's different because in this test, they genetically engineered mice from the get-go to not have the gene work. But what if you turn their gene off in someone who's lived their whole life with that gene? That's something we don't know. Like maybe there's something else in the body that will then go wrong because it's used to, we don't know. But either way, the possibility of maybe getting a fat loss pill exists. So sign me up. And it's not really fat loss. Let's rather just say, you keep trim. You can eat whatever you want, right? So you can have McDonald's 5 times a day with KFC nuggets at every meal. Hey,
I wouldn't mind. I really wouldn't mind.
Now, do you know who definitely doesn't need this magic pill? Other than you, of course.
Who?
Angelina Jolie.
No, maybe she needs it. Maybe she's just exercising.
Shame.
A lot.
Look, she is such a beautiful woman, but she really is. I mean, I'm glad that she's happy with her body, and this is by no means a criticism, but when we have seen her, she does seem quite thin, like in her arms and that. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If she's happy with herself, good for her. I just hope that she is being healthy, all right?
Yeah.
But the reason why I have that segue is because I recently watched a film starring good old Angelina Jolie, which we haven't seen for a while now. Unfortunately, it's another dead average action movie.
Okay. As with all action movies, I guess.
As with most action films. Right, it is called Those Who Wish Me Dead. Now, Edward, I don't know, do you know anything about the film?
No, not at all.
What do you think it is when you hear that?
Those Who Wish Me Dead. It sounds...
Yeah.
Knowing it's an action film, it sounds like someone's on the run from bounty hunters or something.
Well, you're... Okay, that's part of it. That's part of it.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Can I
But
tell
it's
you what the
literally in the
movie's
name,
like
it
really about?
implies. Okay, tell me.
It's an action film based on forest fires.
Okay.
So apparently nothing is off limits with Hollywood. Okay, so
Apparently not. So
what they did, yeah.
are people causing the fires and then they're on the run?
Gosh. Okay. Let's get down into this.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, Those Who Wish Me Dead is a film about something I cannot answer because they never tell you.
Oh. I was like, understandable. Spoilers are bad.
Okay, so I mean, I wish I could tell you. So the little bit that I've been able to grasp, and this is not even a spoiler because they never go into specifics. So is that as the movie begins, you see these two quite obvious impersonating hitmen, okay? And they go and they blow up this house. Then all of a sudden you see this house on the news, and then the camera pans back, and there's this man who turns out was an accountant for the guy whose house just blew up, all right?
Okay.
They never explain what he found, what he did, why they're after them. But
Why is
I
there?
guess in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? It does actually. I'm going to put that on the record. It matters because if you never know what it was about, why was the adventure worth watching? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there was no payoff at the end of the movie. Like, we waited for an hour and a half to find out what exactly this man did and why the people were after him. All you gather throughout the film, because one of the stars of the film happens to be his son. All right. So what ends up happening is when he sees his house being blown up, he quickly takes his son and they get in the car and they like leave because now he knows that something's wrong. All right. And then he explains to his son how he did the right thing. And he is a forensic accountant. So he obviously found something that implicates somebody at a very high level, right? You know how the story generally goes.
Yeah.
You don't know who it is. You don't know why. But anyway, either way, that's the whole point. And then they then go because he now is fearing for himself and his son's life. Okay, obviously. In the process, he writes some document that he gives to his child and is like, you keep this and you only give it to somebody you trust. I have to mention all of these things because I'm hopefully going to get to why they're a little bit like, throughout the story. Anyway, the other part of the story is Angelina Jolie. Now, she is a forest fire woman, right?
Okay.
So the film, yes, a ranger, a survivalist, I think is what they're called in the film.
Okay.
And they're in some park, some national park somewhere in America. And she's a decorated fire woman. And they have a team or whatever, but she's suffering from like post-traumatic stress from what happened the previous year, whereby there was this massive fire and she couldn't save 3 kids, but she saved herself. And so she blames herself for not having saved them, but saving herself. All right. Watch the film if you really care to know if that really means anything in the grand scheme of things. Anyway.
Well, does it though?
I suppose, yes, it does. From the predictable sense of inevitably, the father gets hunted down by these hitmen. And when that happens, his child is with him. But then his child escapes into the woods and inevitably meets up with Angelina Jolie. So you see where this is going, right?
Yeah.
Now, these hitmen, obviously, they have to do the job. And the job was also to kill the kid. But because they didn't kill the kid at the time and he escaped, they now have to take matters into their own hands. And so they then start a forest fire. All right? It is as stupid as it sounds because they didn't have to do that. But anyway, you get what I mean, right? Now, then this is where the whole thing goes in. And of course, there's like a bit of an adventure with, the kid is with Angelina. And let me just tell you, I would love to know what product Angelina Jolie is using for her hair, because whether she is struck by lightning or she falls in water or she's almost consumed by her fire, her hair is lush. Okay.
Maybe it's part of a contract. It's just like, my hair may never be bad.
I don't know. All I'm saying is that her hair is lush no matter what is happening. Listen, y'all. If you come close to a damn candle on a cake, your hair is going to frizzle. This woman is like centimeters away from a forest fire so hot that I know for a fact within meters your hair would frizzle, and she has the most perfect locks I've ever seen. I mean, there was this one scene where so obviously she's this fire person, and because they're in the forest and they get on airplanes and they jump off and they skydive or whatever. So she's a bit drunk and she gets in the back of this truck, and this truck is going at like 100 miles an hour, and then she deploys her parachute from the back of the truck. And she spins around like a tornado and lands on the field. And then when the camera is on her, her hair is perfect. And I'm just like, why is it? I have long hair. If I stick my head out of the window in a car and put it back in again, it is going to be knotted to hell and gone. Okay? So how she managed that, I don't know. And I'm sorry, I had to mention it because it stuck out like a sore thumb in this film of like, and I kid you not, she gets struck by lightning. She jumps out of a tower and like molests her hands. She almost dies within another fire that gets set. And I'm just like, how is your hair the way that it is? It's just not possible.
It sounds too much. Like
it is. So there's technically 2 storylines, right? So you have the hitman trying to find the kid, and in so doing, they run into John Bernthal, from The Punisher. And of course, the 2 hitmen, it's so obvious who they are because it's Nicholas Hoult and Aidan Gillian. So basically, it's Littlefinger from Game of Thrones and Beast from X-Men. And, they are the hitmen and they're doing the whole thing. But it's just like the things that they do and like the script, the things that they say. And you just like, nobody says and does these things.
It sounds like they took a B movie and gave it a Hollywood budget.
Even then, the fire effects were really bad.
Oh,
honestly.
Okay.
So they obviously couldn't
So there's
start
that.
a forest fire, okay?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they sure as hell CGI'd it in, and you can clearly tell what's been CGI'd in. So,
Oh, that's so bad.
look,
Gosh.
it's distinctly average. I wouldn't say it's terrible. I mean, Mortal Kombat was terrible. This was still serviceable. Also, the kid actor called Finn Little, he's really good at crying on demand, but good grief is he annoying. Anyway, so
All children are.
it's very a little bit over the top. And like I said, I think the worst part is there are no answers. You never know what actually happened. You never know who is behind all of this. And to me, that was irritating. Like, if they had at least given that us at the end, I could have maybe been like, okay, that was worth it. But otherwise, all you did was watch a very unlucky woman, Angelina Jolie, find a terrified kid and then do everything in her power to protect him from being killed by hitmen.
Mm-hmm.
And surviving, of course, because nobody dies. People do die in the film. They didn't not say that.
Well, okay, so I'm on the IMDb page for this movie, okay? Let me just read the summary of the plot, which
actually,
already sounds
what?
so much.
You know what? That's actually a great idea. Maybe I should do that in the future. I should read the summaries of the movies and then we speak about
because
them.
it's so ridiculous.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
So it reads, a teenage murder witness finds himself pursued by twin assassins in the Montana wilderness with a survival expert tasked with protecting him and a forest fire threatening to consume them all. Now, that's the tiny summary. There is a big one, which I'm not going to read.
No, that one is perfect.
It already sounds like too much. And there's no comma in
like,
there.
The movie would have been good enough of just this kid being lost in the forest and then like finding Angelina Jolie and then she helps him survive.
Yes.
But then by throwing in the forest fire, I was like,
it's just extra.
But not just that. Like I told you, Angelina Jolie gets struck by lightning twice in this film. Okay.
Why?
I don't know, because it's an action movie. and like there's this piece where she's eventually fighting one of these hitmen, and Shape, I'm just like your heart goes out to her because you're like, damn girl, you've been through so much and you're still managing. And of course, he basically like beats her ass, unfortunately. But then the kid helps, and then of course this professional hitman turns his back on the woman he didn't kill. Okay, so you know where I'm going with the rest of the film.
So obviously it turns out good for her, I guess.
Of course, naturally. It's a lot of ridiculous moments, like how John Bernthal's wife is pregnant, 6 months pregnant. But good grief, I have never seen a 6-month pregnant woman do as much as this woman can do and kick ass. So,
somersaults and stuff.
You joke, but there was even a part of it where she was on horseback shooting. So anyway.
Okay. Horseback? Is it no, it's Montana.
It's Montana,
okay.
yeah.
Like, it makes sense, I guess.
I mean, the fact that we're talking about it and I'm laughing about it, it's an average film. It's by no means good at all, but it's also not terrible. It just doesn't have a nice, fulfilling end. All right, and it's so open-ended. Like there's this whole thing of whereby, this kid apparently lost his mother to cancer. Now his father's dead, and he saw his father die in front of his eyes. And then right at the end, he's like crying, and he's like, "What's gonna happen to me?" And you're just waiting for Angelina Jolie to be like, "Don't worry, I'll adopt you." And she just looks at him, she goes, "I don't know." And I'm like, "What?"
Listen, lightning's enough. Lightning and an assassin is enough.
She was like, "Listen, bitch, I've done enough for your ass.
I don't want more of you. I hope I never see you again."
Okay, so I suppose instead of an action, it should be labeled a comedy.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh.
So now, in terms of forest fires, we know that they're entirely devastating, especially for animal populations. So with animals on the mind, Edward, and I know you love birds, so this one is for you. I hope that you will enjoy this topic. Have you heard of avian magnetism?
I have not.
Now,
That's a brand new topic to me.
Magnetism, like we've spoken about
Like-
sexual magnetism in the past, but now we're going to be talking about avian magnetism. Okay, and
Okay.
this is truthfully something that's kind of interested me for a long while. Now, you should know this, or hopefully our listeners will know this. You know that the
Yeah.
Earth has magnetic fields, all right?
Yes.
But at the same time, there are things called ley lines, right? Which we allegedly don't really know how to harness the power of, but it's rumored that Nikola Tesla knew how to do that, like how to draw power from the Earth, natural power, unlimited power, whatever, unlimited power. Anyway, very Star Wars referencing there for those of you who didn't catch that. And so a lot of research is actually being done into how animals are able to use the Earth's magnetism to navigate. Now, humanity uses it in a very rudimentary sense. By that, I mean, we have north, south, east, west, and we gauge our compasses on things like that. And, we have magnetic north and we have true north, and those keep changing all the time because the Earth's axis is shifting, but that's topic for another episode.
Yeah.
Now, what's fascinating about this is for the longest time, researchers have wondered how exactly animals, specifically birds, are able to use the Earth's magnetism to travel, in the sense of migrate, because more often than not, we see these creatures traveling for thousands and thousands of kilometers, and people are always like, how? How do they know where they're going? What are they following? What is this built-in compass that they have, right? Well, it turns out that, courtesy of a new study that was published in the Nature, the journal, is that there's something called cryptochrome 4, which might be the key to how birds interpret the Earth's magnetic layer. Now, what they did is they used in vitro analysis of specifically the robin bird and its cryptochrome 4 genetic material, right? And it just so happens that that this material is a protein that is magnetically sensitive. And so this is allegedly allowing scientists to actually, predict or fulfill some of the predictions that they've made from leading quantum-based theories on how avian creatures use magnoreceptors to navigate the Earth. And it's just really incredible. And do you want to know why I specifically find this so incredible? Now, of course, we will link to it below if you want to read a bit more into it, that kind of thing. Is because of what Edward and I have consistently spoken about. So, other than sending our seed into space and the Clue who's going to come down and kick our asses, imagine now, or even the fat pill, right? Imagine a CRISPR drug that you could take and allows you to navigate Earth using magnetism alone. This is some X-Men level shit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
like, I'm just thinking like that the world's strongest magnet, that one that you have to switch on, will that like automatically throw you off or something? I mean,
but look, maybe there's a reason why we don't have it, or maybe. Okay, this is something that I want to explore, possibly in a future episode. I just want to ask you about it now. In any case, I don't even know if this has anything to do with magnetism. If you have your eyes closed and somebody brings something close to your forehead, can you feel it?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
you get like this weird buzzing sensation,
feeling,
right?
Yes. It's like
and then
everything goes like this.
And yes, and if they move around, you can actually sense it.
Yes.
Right? Now, this is pure conjecture now, okay? I might be speaking completely out of my wonderful butthole. But it's in what if that's our magnetic aura that we are somewhat attuned to, but don't realize that we are. So then that makes me wonder, maybe we do have these genes in us, but they're just inactivated, but maybe there's a reason why, Or maybe we don't have these genes and maybe there's a reason why we don't have this. Maybe. I mean, I know you could probably argue evolution, I suppose. But yeah, it's very interesting.
It's dope.
And apparently these results will help them understand, birds and things a lot better. And of course, they're going to experiment on it. With like what else did we expect from scientists?
Science. Humanity and science.
Humanity and science, Edward. Now, I'm speaking a lot now. Apologies. But I suppose these are just a lot of the topics that I have. And as much as I want to make them discussions, Eduardo, like when I speak about a review, it's not really a discussion. And unfortunately, I'm leading into yet another one.
That's fine. It's okay.
So on the topic of forest fires and birds, there was another film that we watched this week, and it's called Land. And it's a very unusual film. It stars Robin Wright, and it takes place in Wyoming in the USA, specifically in their national parks. So, we've really spoken about highly over-the-top scenarios of what happens if maybe you go to one of these parks. But now, let's take it back and go a little bit more realistic interpretation of if you happen to go to one of these nature parks.
Okay.
So, Land is about this lady who... It's kind of obvious... Not obvious. If it's easy to piece together what happened, all right, through her flashbacks and things like that, without them specifically telling you. And from that perspective, it's really nice. It's a nice, visual element, and you can understand what's going on without having being told directly.
Yeah.
So it turns out she lost her family. Okay. I won't tell you how, because if you watch the film, it's quite hectic how you find out. But she lost her family, right? So she is now alone. And, you understand throughout some of the scenes in the film how, she doesn't know what to do with her life anymore. She doesn't even know if she wants to live. I mean, you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
You have a child and a husband and they die. Like, what do you do, So then she gets rid of everything she has and she goes to the most remote place in this park. She buys a piece of land, so it's hers. And she goes to live there to presumably die. It's a very sad film. It's not a happy-go-lucky. You don't watch this if you want to feel good, because you won't. But it's a beautiful look at someone who has experienced terrible loss and how that manifests both physiologically and psychologically, and how even in your most desperate of moments, there is hope. Okay? So there's some beautiful things that happen in the film. It's very, I wouldn't say cinema nouveau or artsy, but it did sometimes come across that way, because there was beautiful vistas, beautiful shots. You see how grueling it is for somebody who, and it made me think of myself. I'm a city guy. I don't know how to go into the wilderness and fend for myself. And well, neither did she. So
she had to learn everything. Shame.
Yes, to an extent, to an extent. And it's a. I thought it was a beautiful film. I would say it's a good film. And if you are looking for something that's a little bit more, that'll make you think, a little bit more to do with like introspection, it's a good film. It's a good film. Yeah. Have tissues nearby. I definitely made a note about that.
Yeah, I see you made that note. It sounds very, very good, actually. It sounds like my kind of film. So.
Look, it's very slow, but it's beautiful, and Robin Wright is, other than being a beautiful woman, she is an exceptional actress. I mean, I don't want to say I fell in love with her, but she was one of my favorite characters from House and Cards. She was just such a powerful, I don't know, I'm attracted to powerful women. So, the way that she, the way that she was in House of Cards was just, anyway, in this film, it's her acting repertoire, or the way that she's able to go through these emotions, that is her range, it's very good. I think she might be nominated for something for this film. Probably a Golden Globe. I don't know about an Oscar, but she was very good in it. Very good in it. So yeah. Now something to a little bit more crazy, Ed. So going from nice little reality stint there where you need tissues and cry
from
to Kanye West's cult. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw you add
Yeezy
these,
boy.
and I was like, oh, great. We're going into Weird
Now,
territory
Edward,
today.
I must know. Are you aware of Kanye's cult?
I am not, but it
Good,
doesn't
because neither
surprise
is
me that it
he.
exists.
So,
Oh, that doesn't surprise me
Okay.
either.
so Game Theory is one of our favorite channels on YouTube, and for good reason, because they cover some of the most incredible topics. Much like how we spoke about Pikachu's actual level, we actually spent 2 episodes talking about that because they spent 2 episodes talking about it.
Yeah.
Now, Game Theory is back with something that absolutely blew my mind, and it is called Kanye Quest 3030. Now, it is the most convoluted story of this alternate reality game, ARG for short, that came out, I think it was in 2012 or 2010. It was
so long ago.
ages and ages ago. And this mystery of this, the mystery of ascensionism, right? Which they've done phenomenal research into, which looks like an actual genuine cult, and how it relates to a video game called Kanye Quest 3030, which includes a hidden mystery level whereby you speak to a certain NPC, which you could completely miss and avoid, all right? You speak to this NPC and they're like, are you ready to ascend? And if you say yes, the entire game changes. And then you then start going through this whole, like, it's like a recruitment process where they ask you questions about yourself and what you would do in certain situations. And there's even a moment where it looks like it's connecting to the internet to transmit your information. And it's just, it's freaky. Like, I was watching this, like, I watched the first part of this and it gave me goosies. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason for this is because I'm a big fan of ARGs. I feel that they're underutilized in today's landscape. One of my favorite ones of all time was I Love Bees, which took place when the original Xbox 360 was released. Actually, before the Xbox 360 came out, there was this massive campaign online, like I said, called I Love Bees, and it was all about like hints and information. And eventually, it turned out that it was the Xbox 360. People who had managed to decode all the information throughout the months leading up to the release were treated to a video of the Xbox 360. I think it was like an hour before the actual event released, showing the Xbox 360.
Nice little reward. That's cool.
Yeah, nice like little. It was honestly so cool. I actually did a university project on it for my marketing class. It was very interesting, way back in the early 2000s, and so that obviously reminded me a lot of this Kanye Quest 3030, and it's just the most incredible story of how. I'll give a little bit away, but I do implore you to rather go and watch the videos, watch them in order, because they really are fantastic and so well done. But it's basically how an artist, musician, all right, created this fanciful ARG because that was something that they were interested in. They liked to do different kinds of media, but it never picked up. And then somebody else, and this is still an unknown, somebody else took what they had found about this ARG and turned it into a video game. It's just the most incredible rabbit hole of coincidences in that. I don't know. Just watch these videos, Edward. I also don't want to give too much away because I want to give credit where credit is due. And if I give away all of the cool stuff, then it takes away from the hard work that the game theorists put in. So I'd rather people go and really watch these videos because they're incredible. And this Kanye Quest 3030 thing was just absolutely riveting and fascinating. I suppose I'm almost reviewing it in a way. I don't mean to be.
I guess you are. But that's
I felt like just talking about it, Ed, I'm curious, have you ever participated in ARG or maybe, got swept into a cult without realizing it?
I don't know because I haven't realized it.
The cult of Gero.
I was about to say, isn't that what Gettle is?
No. Gettle are the 4 words to good lovemaking.
Yeah,
Don't forget.
That's very true. Yeah. No, I haven't participated myself, but I have followed in the past. A while ago there was this one with this. It's going past my mind now, but it was one about some butterfly kind of thing. And it ended up being
I remember that. And wasn't it like an FBI
this
recruiting
orange
thing or something?
Yes, something like along those
Yes.
lines. I followed that one like extensively, but I've never
Cicada.
been part of it.
Cicada, and
Yes,
there's a number after it.
That's
Yes,
it,
yes.
3,000 or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you tell? I like ARGs?
Yeah. So yeah, that's the only one I've actually followed by heart. Otherwise, no.
Okay, very cool. Well, if our listeners have come across any cool ARGs, maybe ones that are currently happening at the moment, let us know. I mean, I'd love to maybe delve into them a little bit. Hey,
Yeah,
see
why not?
what's going on. Much like being on the run, Edward.
Okay, from mosquitoes or something, I guess.
Okay, so watch another TV series this week called The Mosquito Coast, and it's on Apple TV Plus. And can I just say how good Apple TV Plus shows are? Like, I am genuinely surprised at their level of quality. Now, I'm not saying they're all exceptional. I'm just saying that from a quality perspective, they're all very good. They're well shot, well produced, have good scripts, and for the most part are quite entertaining. Now, The Mosquito Coast follows the lives of Justin Theroux and Melissa George, the actors, and their kids, Logan Polish and Gabriel Bateman. And it starts off with them living off the grid, apparently, for the last decade. You don't know why they've been living off the grid, and much like Angelina Jolie's recent film, they never tell you why, which is probably the most irritating aspect of this show, because you follow this family, right? Who it turns out we're living a fairly normal life, of course, off the grid, which already is a bit like, that's a bit strange. Then it seems like they're being tracked by federal agents, and then they go on the run. Okay, so the entire season of 6 episodes is how they are on the run to get away from law agencies, but you have no idea why. You don't know what they did. You don't know if it really was as bad as it could have been. All you know is that they're monitored. All right? So the story itself is good. Watching this family, leave everything that they know behind. And then, of course, the issues that go along with that. Like, you have a teenage daughter who doesn't understand what's going on. And she's upset. She has a boyfriend. Like, truthfully, I did find that storyline a little bit irritating, because I was like, sure, I understand you're a teenager, you're becoming your own person and everything. But, if your parents are telling you to get in the effing car because we're going to die, get in the car and go. You can bitch later. Okay.
But teenagers, though. They're all...
Anyway, the show does also a good job of showcasing character development, in the sense of, like, the son, for example, I think is meant to be about 14 in the show, 14, 15, maybe a bit younger, is very innocent, even more innocent than the sister, who's probably about 16 in the show, right? 16, 17. And he really doesn't know much about the world at all. And yet he has this really saddening arc of almost becoming a killer over the 6 episodes. All right. I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's just, it's handled somewhat delicately, but also at the same time, it's a bit heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because, much like Angelina Jolie being struck a lot by lightning and having the worst luck, this family has the best luck I've ever seen. Because they are able to get out of getting away from the US government, getting away from the Mexican cartel, getting away from hitmen, and just getting away in general. Now, although it is somewhat steeped in, it is somewhat realistic, the things that happen and the things that go on. It is sometimes a little OTT. Mm-hmm. Specifically in the sense of, like, I'd like to think if I was a cartel leader, I just would kill people. I'd be like, you're irritating me, goodbye. You don't want to give them a chance,
That's why
and
Mexico
it's just like
is in the state it is in.
No, but it's just like little things, like, you would imagine this kind of a leader would not open themselves up to exploits.
Yeah.
At least not in the sense of the way that the show works. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, it is serial in nature, meaning every episode follows on from each other. However, and this is the strange thing, every episode is somewhat self-contained. And what I mean by that is almost similar to Lupin that I spoke about in a previous week, whereby, sure, it's better if you watch each episode because then you know what's going on with the characters. Okay, you know what they've been through, you know why they're behaving in certain ways, and so on and so forth. However, every episode has an arc. So essentially, the arc for every episode is how the family gets out of the situation they're currently in. Whether that's unfortunately being imprisoned, being held by the cartel, escaping government agents, being stuck in the desert, whatever you name it, every episode deals with how they manage to escape with their lives intact. And it's okay, I suppose, from that perspective. It's not all bad. It just feels a little, I miss Game of Thrones TV. Yeah. Whereby it's not like, yes, sure, things happen in every episode, but like they're not so self-contained that every episode has some kind of arc. It's more like they have arcs that go over like 4 episoes, And that's personally what I prefer. So, from that perspective, Mosquito Coast it's pretty good. It's well acted. There are a couple of inconsistencies here and there. You never really know what's going on. So like the little bit that I think we managed to piece together is that the mother is actually the reason why they're on the run, but you have no idea why or for what reason. And I think the father is somewhat of a genius. And there is one thing that he reveals during one torture scene, but you don't know if that's true or not. So it's basically just watching these people escape the whole time and never really having a satisfying conclusion.
Okay. That's weird.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like Lupin had really satisfying conclusions, right? But now, how many things have I told you about now in just this episode of Gettle? It's like 3 things. Like 3 things that didn't have satisfying conclusions. They all just told you the story, and then that was it.
It's just like a little bit of the story. Maybe that's what season 2 will try to accomplish.
You know what it's like? It's like me talking to you about the most delicious chocolate, okay? Telling you all about it, how delicious it is, but never telling you where you can get it.
Yeah.
Or the name of it.
Imagine.
So I'll never tell you the name of the chocolate. I'll never tell you where you can get the chocolate, but I will tell you about what is in it and how good it makes me feel, and that's it. You must just be happy with that.
That's strange. Yeah.
Or imagine this, Edward. Maybe this is more specific to you because I know you like chicken nuggets. Imagine me now taking pictures and videos of the most incredible chicken nuggets you've ever seen in your life. Okay?
Yeah.
But I don't tell you where you can get them, and I don't tell you the name of the place.
I guess then I'll just die without knowing. Gosh.
Well, there are certain things in this life that I would like to know, and some of them are NSFW related.
Yeah.
Actually, no, for real though. For real.
Yeah.
I see here, because we've spoken about sex robots before.
Yeah.
And love dolls and so on and so forth. Oh, actually, that reminds me of another show that I watched. No, you know what? Remind me for a future episode. Just remind me for a future episode. Okay. I don't want to do it now. I feel like I've spoken too much already as it is.
Okay.
So remind me about just sex doll. Remind me in the future, and I will
Okay.
I will know which TV show I'm supposed to be talking about.
We'll probably have more sex doll topics in the future. Like today, we actually have 2 of them.
Yes. I'm curious about this because we've obviously spoken about really good ones in the past, right?
Yes.
Like AI-driven ones and customizable ones. Now I see here that somebody has customized a geriatric one.
Pretty much. So basically, the whole point of the news behind this is that it's the world's first ever elderly sex robot. But it's also the only one for this company anyway.
What does that mean exactly? That's what I want to know.
So it looks and feels and acts
Like-
like an old guy, I guess, is the point.
Oh, is it a man? I thought it was a lady. Okay.
No,
anyway,
no. It's literally customized
okay,
to a
but-
special.
how realistic?
Well, these are made by Real Doll, and we've spoken in the past about how real their dolls are. That's the whole point of them, is how.
Yes, but do you
accurate-
need to give this doll Viagra?
And not all people, all old people need Viagra. Okay.
Okay,
That's a
okay,
bad
wait.
myth,
Answer this.
Hans.
Answer this. How old was this doll made to look? Did they give an age?
No, it's just it looks quite old if you look at the picture, but
Because-
they never give
because-
an age.
What is considered elderly? So rather unfortunately, I am considered middle-aged. Okay. So what is elderly here? Are we
Well,
talking
I-
60 plus, 70 plus?
No idea, but if you look at the image, it does look like it would be your grandpa.
So 70s?
I would say maybe 70s and
Okay,
older. Yes.
So who is requesting a 70-year-old love doll?
No idea, but Real Doll put this on their Instagram, and they were all like, "Look, we know daddy issues exist, but this," and then they just
Oh, shame.
ellipses.
You know what I just thought?
What?
What if it's just a companion?
That might really
You know,
be it.
Maybe
That-
an old person just wants a companion because they're so alone. Oh, no. This is making me sad now.
Well, don't be sad because it's accompanied by a lot of boobies and peepees and stuff. So this could
Okay,
be someone's
well, I mean,
fetish.
I
for all
didn't
we
I
know.
didn't know that they took like super custom orders. I thought it was just like
Yes.
you go on there and you pick what you want. and
Yeah,
that's it.
You go on the website and you fill in this thing and then you just choose a bunch of stuff. So this surprised me as well, which is that it's super old. He looks like an old guy. Now to be fair, he looks like a good old guy. The photo they posted, it looks like wrinkly and stuff, but it looks healthy at least. So there's that.
Okay, but what about the peen?
I don't know. They don't say
No, I mean you
anything
see,
about
you
the
know what?
peen.
You just
This-
did what the movies and TV series I've been speaking about
No,
this episode.
Real Doll did that. So what they did was just give us an image and told us that this is the world's first elderly sex doll.
That is unfair. I want to know. I want to know how everything looks. I mean, come on.
Well, to be
Don't
fair,
you?
to be fair, on their website they have like 2 penis options, so I don't think it can look much
For-
different than that.
Oh, but then that now for me wouldn't be worth it because if I want accuracy, I want it all the way through.
See, but
all
as you
the way
said, this
through.
could just be an opinion, a companion.
A companion.
So
Oh, please. Ain't nobody ordering one of these things and then not doing things with it.
Well, to be fair as well, Real Doll, as I said, they are known for their accuracy in their dolls. So it might be that some people just order them for the fact that they
So,
can look human.
You know that TV show I was talking about?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
all has to do with companion. A doll as a companion. So I have to mention, I will speak about it in another episode.
Okay, that's cool. I'm hearing a lot of stuff for next week. That's all I'm hearing, like sex doll stuff. Yeah, it's just super interesting to actually see a super old sex doll and knowing that
Look,
this was the
I
world's
suppose-
first.
I suppose it's great. You know, I mean, why should these dolls be limited
Exactly.
in any way? I suppose,
Like,
you know?
The whole point.
You want to have an old daddy on your face? Go for it.
That's it. And at the end of the day, it might not be about the penis and how good he performs. I guess if he might need Viagra, just simulate that shit. I think this, personally, I think this was maybe a gift for someone. It looks decidedly American, I guess, the doll itself. So
So he
it's
looks
not like
European, is what you're trying to say.
European. No, yeah, I guess. So
Yeah.
I thought I would share
Okay.
that. And in other sex doll news, though, we have an OnlyFans for sex dolls. No, that's not
You
really
know,
news. It's just
I
a
mean,
thing
no.
that I
I
assumed
mean-
would happen.
It's just like Why am I not surprised?
Exactly.
Why am I not surprised
Exactly.
that sex dolls have OnlyFans?
So I thought I'd bring
mean-
this to your attention.
Well, you know why? It's because they got to make their money back because sex dolls are expensive.
Well, okay, so this OnlyFans account is run by a guy named Brick Dollbanger. Now I have to double check every time I see the name because I doubt it's a real name. And
Obviously
he
not.
is-
Nobody's called Dollbanger as their surname.
Exactly. Now, okay. Anyway. So he is a supposed beta tester of these real dolls. And he has a
Oh, okay.
website. So beyond only having an OnlyFans, he actually has a personal website where he shares this erotic content based on sex dolls. There's literally a video on his website where he has sex with a doll, and he's just filling the doll up. It's basically a POV
Wait, hold up.
sex
So
doll
he.
porn.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So that's what you meant by
it's
being a beta
literal-
tester.
I guess so. He says he's a beta tester. I don't know what that means
So-
beyond just
so
having
do you-
sex with the dolls.
I mean, I wouldn't mind being a sex doll beta tester.
Like neither would I.
I don't know if I'd make an OnlyFans out of it, but like,
Hey, if people
You know?
will monetize that shit, why not?
I suppose if people want to subscribe.
Exactly. Now, it turns out that the entire point of the OnlyFans is to actually fund this personal website of his. Because the website is free, you can go on and you can watch the videos.
See?
Yeah,
Like I said, it's to fund these sex dolls. So he's not getting these things for free. He's paying for this shit.
I assume as much. But being a beta tester also implies you're getting it for free. So that's where on his website he says it.
This is
funds
why
the
disclosure is important.
website. Yes. Thank you.
Gosh.
So yeah, there's a lot of erotic content on the website, but this was actually brought to my attention through Instagram, where he actually posts about all these things, and the point of it all is he says is to change people's viewpoints on sex dolls, and if you are on the fence about them, you should.
Yes,
Basically
people are on the
consume his
fence about them
content.
because they cost tens of thousands
Yes,
of
they are
rand.
mega expensive.
Never mind whether people want them or not.
Exactly. So yeah, his whole thing is to basically educate and show people that maybe they can be proper companions. They can give you good sex and what. Now the one
Listen.
video I watched on his website, I had on mute because I didn't want to hear that shit.
For reasons.
But it looks weird when every time he's pumping this only doll, a real doll, and its eyes goes open and closed. I don't know. That looks weird to me. I don't know. So
Well, don't Marion's eyes go open and closed when you're pumping her?
not in like weird ways, weird robotic ways. Okay, that's the thing. It's just it looks weird. Now I get this guy, and I get that he has an OnlyFans. Now I don't get his meanings behind everything besides just making porn with dolls. Yeah.
So okay, hold. Look, I haven't gone to go and click on or anything, but I'm assuming he's well endowed enough to make good videos.
Actually, his POV videos doesn't show his own body.
So what are you seeing then?
You're just seeing basically the viewpoint of the doll's boobies going up and down and him touching everything while he's doing his job. At least in the one or two videos that I've seen. This full disclaimer: I've not gone through the entire gallery. I
Fair
might.
After just telling us about how it's so weird, but I'm so gonna go back
it
and
looks
watch.
weird. But these things intrigue me. They really do. I'll never get one. I don't think they are worth it.
Well, it's not even. You know what? It would be. It's more the taboo. I mean, like, explain it away.
Isn't it
like already having? Well, I mean, like having a sex toy is something you can put away, and if somebody stumbles upon, that's because they literally opened and looked for something, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Where are you gonna be putting Madam Sex Doll? I mean,
in
she's
the
so
basement.
big.
Actually,
you could put it in the cupboard, but the last thing you need is for her to fall out.
more sex doll news. They actually, somewhere in America, they fished a dead body out of the dam. Turns out it wasn't a dam; it was a sex doll.
You mean it wasn't a dead body? It was a sex doll.
Yes. So yeah, you just put that shit in the cupboard, in the basement, in like a coffin or something.
What a waste of money. That's all I'm thinking here.
Yeah.
I'm like, you spent thousands of dollars on this thing, and then it somehow ended up in the river. What are you doing with your life?
I should mention though, everything I've found surrounding sex dolls and robots is that people who own these things seems to be the kinds of people who don't care at all. They are public with their love for them. So there's that as well. And maybe this is why I don't understand.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you, Edward? It's kind of like okay, I know that in dollars it's only a few $1,000s, right?
Yes.
But for us, that's several tens of thousands of rand.
Yeah, it's so like 12,000.
If you bought a 70,000 rand car, would you hide that shit? No. So why must you hide your 70,000 rand pump doll?
Okay, that's fair. I'm not gonna hide.
Dress her up in Gucci and Versace and have her at the kitchen table.
That's Kira, by the way, in the corner there. Don't find her. She's silent.
I know we're making light of it, right? But that show that I was talking about is literally how that works.
Is it like my fetish life or something on YouTube? Is it
No. It's actually it's a comedy on HBO Max. Let me keep it for I'm gonna do what seems to be the trend for this episode and not tell you the name of the show. And that way,
just leave
you
us
can
on a
just
cliffhanger.
be completely unsatisfied for the rest of this episode.
That's all this entire episode's been. It's just they call it the cliffhanger episode.
And that's the end of NSFW.
Yeah, it's.
But no, for real, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to tell you that there's a sex doll in it, and it has to do with billionaires and chips in the brain. But I'm not going to tell you where to go and watch it, which I already have, but I'm going to just pretend that I didn't. And I'm not going to give you the name of the show or who stars in it. I'm going to rather just tell you that I'm going to speak about it at a later episode because we're all about unsatisfaction on Gettle.
Yeah, might as well.
No, sorry. Actually, no. We're all about the tease before the pleasure.
Ooh.
Edward, thank you once again. I see we have reached the end of episode 64, season 2, episode 22.
Yep.
For you wonderful people who have joined us once again for another episode, thank you. We enjoy doing this on a weekly basis, and we especially love hearing from all of you, whether it's email, DM, or publicly, and you know who you are if you're doing it publicly. Thank you for always talking to us and for just, allowing us to know that you're listening and you enjoy. It keeps us going.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So with that in mind, Edward, let's hope that next week's episode will be ever so slightly more satisfying than this week.
It just might.
And until then, we all hope you have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Ciao for now.
Bye.